Welcome back to the REI Agent. We are here with Caleb Christopher. Caleb, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's an honor and a pleasure. Thank you.
Caleb, we had a lot of fun kind of off air before we started here. Besides being a Friends fan and a movie quoting connoisseur, who are you and what do you do in real estate?
So I own a couple of rentals. Matter of fact, movie quotes was I was at my rental property that's down the street from me. It just vacated, and I was doing a walkthrough for a punch list, and I saw the backdoor neighbor, and I said, "Hey, I don't think I know your name." And he came over and he said something, and he quoted Dumb and Dumber, and I was like,
Yes.
"Yeah!" And
Yes,
fist bump, and I'm like, "This is a great relationship.
Instant friends.
Love you. What's your phone number, man? Let's talk."
that's one I can't quote.
That's my third love language is movie quotes. So I own several rental properties, so I am an active investor and owner operator. I've got some property managed, but the ones that are closest to me, I'm like, I'll self-manage a couple. I own Creative TC, which is transaction consulting for creative finance deals, and I own Creative Title Company, which is in Colorado and soon to be Tennessee. That's where I'm at right now with my real estate businesses and journey.
It's Caleb, what you're doing is so helpful for people. I think it's really difficult to find places to close creative deals sometimes. And then also if you can find, an attorney or whoever to maybe entertain it, they often don't really have the knowledge, the frame of reference to understand how to do things properly.
Can I tell you something though?
Yeah.
I'm a contracts guy. I'm a nerd. I like paperwork. I like the Oxford comma for my shout out to anybody else who knows what that is. Hoorah. The thing is, I end up correcting attorneys a lot of the time. So guess what? Two states I don't do business: New York, New Jersey. They do not like unlicensed Hal telling them anything. I'm like, there's a better way to do this. Oh, you should be using this document. Hey, the context says that we should be doing A, B, and C. They do not want to hear from me. So I'm just some guy that's helping make creative finance deals safe, legal, and ethical. And what I put in my scope of work to kind of defend, why are they turning to an unlicensed person like Caleb and his team for anything related to a real estate transaction where attorneys are probably the best choice? I don't say that they're not. The problem is finding a creative finance capable, a creative finance prepared attorney who can get up to speed and do what you need to do within the 2 weeks left you've got before closing. I've just been there and done that with dozens of transactions per month for 4 years now. Our 4-year anniversary is in like 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
No, 100%. It's not the common way of often doing things. And I think that if you're not in a market or you don't have clientele that do a lot of these kind of transactions, it's going to be like studying a different type of law almost, right? Than what their stuff might be, even if it's still real estate.
Creative finance is weird. I'll be the first one to say it. I own 2 companies that specialize in creative finance. It is weird. It's not normal. So you're not going to find a normal person who does not normal stuff. Yeah. You need somebody who's been there and done that a dozen times and who can hold your hands, not just a dozen times, dozens and hundreds of times.
Caleb, before we get more into this, what got you started with real estate? What did you do before you were in real estate? And how did it lead to being a creative finance person?
Well, I got into IT and cybersecurity after I did like a 5.5-year stint in the prison system in Kansas.
I'm glad you turned your life around.
Yeah, as a guard.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it felt like a sentence though. 8 hours a day, 5.5 years of that. That was when I resolved not to work for government again.
Sure.
It's not a meritocracy. You can be really good at what you do and still get stuck in bad posts, etc. So it's seniority rules. I'm not for it. But I learned a lot because I was working physical security and risk management. And then I switched to IT, which was cool. I'm a nerd. But I switched from IT and upgraded. I got a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity and risk management. And so I've got this risk management approach to everything I do, which guess what? I read court cases. I read contracts. I write contracts. One of my wholesaler guys, right? So I help more than just wholesalers, but also agents. But one of my wholesalers just got gypped little over, and they're in the 5 figures by a title company who just didn't give them their assignment fee.
Oh, wow.
Long story short, they were using my contract and my assignment contract. So my purchase contract and assignment. And I'm like, these people are dead to rights. There's no possible way that this is going to go through. You've got them dead to rights. So after debates, their attorney, the title company's attorney, is claiming some technicality. And I told the wholesaler, I'm like, if there's a hole in my paperwork, there are hundreds and hundreds of people who use my docs because they're better. and I genuinely believe that, and they are. But if there's a hole, I need to know about it. So I'll go halvesies with you on the lawsuit. Let's go. So I think next week we're going to file.
Wow.
And I'm hoping to get that person back their money and then legal fees and get paid back my halvesy.
Yeah. Wow. It's an interesting space for sure. I think subject to is one probably topic we could talk about. Wholesaling is, I'm sure, another. There's a lot of different things we could talk about here, but maybe start with explaining wholesaling and maybe some of the challenges that you see. If you're talking to an agent, they may not be as familiar with it and may also see it. It can seem a little predatory
Sure.
from the outside at times. So could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. I'm going to start with a quote. I saw a picture of a chessboard, and it said, "The white pieces and the black pieces are bitter enemies. However, the people moving those pieces are often friends." And that's kind of a bit of the perspective of, I think, of wholesalers versus real estate agents.
Yeah.
But the buyers, the buyers and the investors and the sellers can be pretty good friends. Meanwhile, you guys are like bitterest of enemies. There's good wholesalers and bad wholesalers. There's good agents and bad agents.
Yes.
If you're out to help people, you're out to help people. If you're looking out for number one, you're looking out for number one. Just recognize the type of person you're dealing with and get over your classifications, licensed or unlicensed. I'm unlicensed and I help more people than most agents easily because I care about doing good. So a wholesaler is somebody who finds markets to potential sellers, prospects. So they choose a prospect and they try to convert that prospect into a lead. They reach out. Actually, I'm going to tell you something. If I ran a challenge, and I'm running a wholesaler challenge next month in Colorado, a deal maker challenge. If I ran a challenge for wholesalers and a challenge for agents, I just would do the same challenge. I just wouldn't put those two groups in the same room. I could run those two in parallel.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, pick up your phone, start dialing your list. Hey, would you like to sell your house? Great. I'd like to make a cash offer. Switch classrooms. Oh, great. I've got a listing agreement. Let me come visit the house and let's start taking photos. It's the same business model. It's the same pitch. It's the same communication. It's just different paperwork. Calm down a little bit,
Yeah. And often different motivations from the sellers, right?
Yeah. And so some sellers are better for one and some are better for the other. And so if you want walkthroughs and you can pass inspection, great, go with an agent. If you can't pass inspection or don't want to deal with walkthroughs and you just want a quick exit, get the wholesaler. There's plenty of uneducated, unprofessional people on both sides of the fence. Mm-hmm. I can't say one's better than the other.
Totally.
Did I answer the question or just go off on like 7 rabbit trails?
No. I think it's just so basically a wholesaler would be getting, instead of putting something on the market with a contract to get a commission
for
off
6 months, by the way.
They are depending on the market. They are going to be typically, this is like he said, like it's a more distressed home that might not be able to, they need quick cash. There's a lot of different reasons why somebody is going to want a kind of a fast process to close. And a wholesaler will typically get a house under contract and then they more or less sell the contract to an investor. And there's a fee involved. So if they have it under contract for $100,000 and they sell the contract to somebody for $120,000, they would get that $20,000 difference.
Yeah, so I think the difference comes down to who pays the person. Let's put agents and wholesalers in the same bucket. Who pays you? The difference is on an agent's deal, the seller pays the agent for marketing and getting the deal sold. On the other side, on the wholesaler side, it's the buyer who pays a fee to the wholesaler for finding the deal and connecting them to it. That's pretty much the only difference. It's pretty close to the same dollars in most deals, by the way. So by the time we're done, you can't call wholesalers unethical just because they made $40,000 on a deal when the agent would have made about the same. Percentage-wise, it's insignificant difference in most cases. Everybody's in the business of moving houses, and you help people in different ways. So next question.
Yeah, no, that's mainly for the people that may not be aware of what that is. What are some of the challenges that you see with title companies, and how do you help consult how to close a wholesale deal? Like, are there double closes? What are typically the processes you go through there?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to when I started in real estate, I joined a wholesale team as a lead manager and underwriter. My job was to close creative deals. When somebody said no to a cash offer, I was the guy who would call and say, hey, I understand that offer doesn't work. Tell me your situation, right? And let's disqualify cash, realtor, and keeping it. Because if realtor is a good option, let's do that. So the cash offer we already know doesn't work. Realtor, why won't you sell with a realtor? Well, I don't want to pay their commissions, okay? Or I don't want to do walkthroughs, or I don't want, whatever the seller's reason is. My goal is to disqualify cash, realtor, and keeping it before I go creative. If you've got somebody slinging creative terms without disqualifying those first three first, you may not have a deal on your hands a lot of times. And then find that third one, why don't you just keep it? You don't like fixing toilets? If the seller can give me a reason why cash, realtor, and keeping it won't work and they still want to sell, guess what? I get to go from slinging offers at them to sitting next to them at the table and saying, okay, let's do this together. Here's what I can do with you, Mr. Seller. And I like that pivot. It makes me to the position where I'm helping and I get to understand their story. And I get a right to ask questions that they would not otherwise answer to somebody who's just slinging offers. And so creative finance becomes a solution to problems. And that's what I like about creative finance. So I got into it by being a lead manager on a wholesaler team. And then I did a couple of deals, creative deals. Hey, let me just take over your payments, right? The cash offer doesn't work, but I can pay your price if you let me just take over your payments. I'll pay the mortgage for you. Cool. This is my first couple of deals. Then I, as a lead manager, got it under contract. And then the people who own the company wanted to sell that contract off. And I'm like, hey, I just made promises to that seller. I don't know that the person you're going to hand this to is going to keep my promises. That's not cool by me. And so now I've got this moral, ethical dilemma. Like, I said and did everything I was trained to do, but now people could be getting jacked, intentionally or not. This isn't cool by me. And so I set out to make these deals safe, legal, and ethical. And that's been my mission ever since, 21, 22. And so Creative TC was the first company. And then once I started touching enough of these deals, and I'm helping not just wholesalers, but sellers and agents too. I have plenty of agents who are like, I'm getting all these offers. Which ones do I take? Which should I consider? What do I need to watch out for? Is it okay if they assign it? Let's talk through it. And so to that end, I have free 15-minute consults. I want to be the lighthouse to keep you from crashing into the rocks because I think creative finance is a fantastic tool, but it's not for everybody. It is weird, and you need to enter into it with having had the right discussions and asked the right questions.
Sure. No, I think that often when you're getting into real estate, if you want to be an investor as well or not, usually often the starting point is being an agent or a wholesaler. There's kind of like two different paths, right? You could probably do both. I won't get into that right now, but that's often the starting point. But I think there is like a next step, right? So like if you want to start owning the properties as well, if you want to start having some more creative ways of solving the people's problems, like you're saying, learning the creative solutions is, I think, really important. I think that you can really level up your game as a wholesaler, as a real estate agent, by having those extra tools, because one subject two is going to work in a situation that something else won't,
right,
et cetera. And so knowing those options is huge. What are some of the common creative methods that you talk about, and can you explain them a little bit?
Yeah. So just as a reminder, we touch dozens of these deals every month at Creative TC and have literally hundreds of 5-star reviews because we're asking questions, because we want to understand, why are you doing a sub 2? Do you know why you're doing a sub 2? Do you understand the credit implications? So a lot of times it'll be seller finance, subject to, which is taking over somebody else's payments. I get the deed, I make your payments, your credit's still on the line. A combination of those two, a hybrid of some sort, which could be considered a wraparound mortgage. There's a ton of different sub-classifications and ways to do it weird, but usually it's taking over somebody else's payments, or if they own it free and clear, making payments to them and turning them into the bank. There's various levels of that. You can also do a lease with an option to purchase and a sandwich lease option. So we could spend 3 episodes just talking about the technicalities of these different deal types. And I think I've built a chart, which maybe if you have show notes, I can just put a link to that in there.
Yeah, 100%. I know you're probably itching over here to ask about how
I was wondering.
My window. I'm just waiting.
Yeah, I've been going off. Yeah.
She was drinking a lot of coffee before the show. I know she's raring to go.
Yeah. I wanted to hear a little bit about your work rhythm, because I know you founded your own business. I'm curious if you work like a 9 to 5 or if your work rhythm is different, and how that works with your family rhythm.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, I started Creative TC because I saw I have this moral compulsion, like somebody's got to do something about this, and nobody else. I'm looking around, nobody else is going to do it, so it's going to be me, right? Be the change you want to see. That company took off as my full-time job was winding down because it was a government contracts job and the contracts were drying up. So I had a drop dead date where I had like this company had to support me. So I'm in a couple of real estate communities and most of my business comes from those. My first year and a half, I was working 12 to 18-hour days. And I had to tell my wife like, "Hey, we're in this weird spot in life. You don't get me except on the weekends." And that was only after a while of me not being available at all ever. I work from home. This is my basement in Kansas right here. And I was at home and unavailable to my wife and my family. I've got 4 kids now. I didn't at the time, but that was definitely a challenge. And it took a long time to be able to hand off my management duties to somebody else. Like entrepreneurship is not easy.
How old were your kids? However many you had at that time. What stage was that in?
I think I had 3 at the time. I've got 4 now, and so they're about 3 years apart each. So somewhere between 7. I think the oldest was 7 or 8 at the time. He's about to turn 13 now.
Okay.
The turning point for me, or the heart-rending moment for me was in June of 2022. I do remember this. I went to a mastermind. Stayed at the guy's house, and it was in Arizona, and it was day 2.5. I'd been gone for 2.5 days, and my wife texted me to say, hey, Ezra just asked, my oldest son, 7, he just asked where you were. And what I realized was it had been 2.5 days that I had been gone from the house, and he didn't even notice until day 2.5. Where's Dad? I haven't seen him in 2 days. And I was like, because he never sees me anyways. He sees me at dinner time and that's about it. What a condemnation for me as a father. Like, you're doing it wrong. I'm working hard, sure, but I'm supporting my family, but I'm not being there for my family. Where's the balance? And that was a critical question for me while I was on that trip. And I resolved that something had to change. And so absolutely, when I get off, we don't have a hard stop at 5 p.m., but that regulation has come in. Personal regulation is about 5 p.m. I'm off, and I'm not messing on my phone very much. I still screw up, and we have a sit down dinner. We've got a too small kitchen with a too small table with folding chairs, and that's been our dining table. And we cram all 6 of us around that table, and we have dinner together every night. And then I turn stuff off on the weekends. Just sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
home on the weekends.
On the weekends, you don't touch it at all. Don't look at it till Monday.
Hard stop.
Wow.
I mean, I see stuff come in, but I don't respond to stuff, right? Nobody's going to die over the weekend. If somebody has an emergency, I'll take a call. But I've got a team, and they're off for the weekends too, and I want to protect their time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big difference. It is really, really tough to juggle. Did you ever notice, when you did, like, especially during the time when you were working a lot, when you would come upstairs or when you did have a minute with the kids or needed to do bedtime, did you realize too, like maybe they had a specific routine with mom that you were a little bit out of the loop on just because you had been working a lot? Just things like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's still the case, but it's different. It's different age brackets. I've been a youth leader before at my church, and I tend to connect with the middle and high school kids way better than the elementaries. Like, I'm not interested in leading or teaching the younger children's church. Not my style, not my favorite age to deal with. That's fine. And so maybe this is bad for me to say, but it's honest at least. I love all my kids, but my favorite time to interact with them is as they're getting older. And the 10, my oldest is almost 13, so age 10 and up has been my favorite so far. And I engage more directly. I've got movie quotes. We talk in movie quotes and stuff like that. That's where I engage mentally and socially with my children. Yeah. My youngest asked me to read, and I'm like, sure, let's go read a book. But and I love them, but I enjoy spending time specifically as they get older.
The relationship does start to change pretty significantly. So our oldest is 9. She just turned 9 in February, and I have noticed a shift in the level of conversation we can have with her too. And I think,
and I knew that coming into having kids, so maybe that was, I don't know, but I don't feel bad about it. It's just I engage way better with the older children. I mean, I taught a Bible study about, and I use the word suckitude to represent us in front of God, like the level of our suckitude. And my wife is like, I'm not sure the other parents would like you saying that. I'm like, they're teen kids. This is how I communicate. Sorry. Make me not a youth leader then.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, I mean, there have been a lot of changes over the last several years, and there was an adjustment period where you had to, sounds like from what I heard you say, really wrestle with what kind of balance feels good to you and to your family, and in a way that the business can be successful. Do you feel like
Yeah.
you've gotten there at this point? I
Yeah,
know it's always
I'm comfortable with the balance. Of course, I would love more time, and as I've shifted to more CEO type, I don't want to call myself a CEO of a 14, 15 person company. I don't feel that's the right title. President, leader, manager, whatever. But as I shift into more of that CEO style role, I'm handing stuff off, and I need to not be the guy that does any of the things. So for the title company, my two key hires, I just secured a marketing manager, like a director of marketing, and I'm still hunting, in case anybody's listening, for a full-time director of sales in the Denver area. But those two key hires will allow me to step back and work on and not in. But I have actively resisted. We raised capital for this company, and so I have a duty to my investors. But I also need to not be the sales guy. I need to be a bonus to the sales guy and a bonus to the marketing leader. And I just do these drive-bys, and I've got great ideas, but I'm not all fireworks the whole time.
Was that? I mean, I think what we're talking about here is very common for driven entrepreneurial type people. Is that grind phase is kind of like almost more natural than the stepping back phase and trying to.
It is easier to grind, yes, and there are. In the last 6 months, which is when I really shifted to working on being the owner more than the operator. I can't tell you how many days I wake up where I'm like, I just wish somebody would tell me what to do today. Because my default is, let me just open a file and work it and start emailing and calling people and doing the work, the busy work of the day. That's easy. But the other stuff that's more important is bigger. It's longer term vision. I'm not a 10-year vision guy. I know people who are. And I don't know many people who've got a 10-year vision. I know some people with a 5-year vision. I'm a 1 to 3-year vision guy. I am a visionary, but not super long term. I don't see the industry change in front of me. I just know what's right, and I know where I want to be in a year or two.
Did you read books? Did you what kind of practices did you do to start being able to delegate, to start hiring, to be able to, did you struggle with the, controlling everything and being able to like let that go? I mean, what was that process like for you?
Tears your soul apart. Yeah, I like control. I'm a smart guy, and I can typically do things better than anyone else that I know. And I don't know how else to say that, right? The thing about founders is they believe they can do it better, which is why they found something. They start something because they believe they can. And I know I can do it better than most people, which is why I've started companies. And it's tough handing stuff off. Employees, co-managers, I love you. You're not me, right? Letting go of stuff. You have to let go of. My standard is like off the screen. And I still don't even meet my own standard. How is anyone else going to? And I have to be okay with this. Yeah. That's really hard.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's something that, a lot of people struggle with. And real estate agents, they, are not really thinking I'm starting a company. I'm starting, you know what I mean? That they're going to start selling real estate, but there are a lot of different hats that you have to wear. A lot of different things that you have to do and figure out and be good at. And to then get really good at something and then be able to like realize, okay, I need help. I need to hire out. I need to do things that are moving the needle more for the business and not be bogged down by the things that really aren't the best use of your time. So, I mean, it's a struggle for a lot of people. And again, like the grind is easier for a lot of people that are wired this way, and to step back and take a, realization that there are other things that are important, like your family. You're going to wake up and they're going to be grown and gone.
I think that's a really good, maybe t-shirt quotable thing. Like the grind is easier than the build. It's easier to just get a checklist and do something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I was just thinking when you were talking, when you're building a team or a system where you don't have to do the grind so much, that stepping back phase seems just really tough because you almost have to do that to allow space for opportunity for other people to step in. And then it sounds like you were trying to figure out, what do I do in the meantime while I watch this hopefully begin
spiral.
To grow? And okay, I'm more of an optimist than you are.
Oh, yeah. One of the things that comes to mind, what I've noticed, so transaction coordination and consulting companies. Now, TC, everybody thinks transaction coordinator. Yes, that's an administrative assistant role. I don't think it's worth that much dollars wise. It adds value to your business, et cetera. So creative TC is transaction consulting because we do way more than just the coordination. But the question becomes, do you have a job or a business? The same thing, I would pose the same question to an agent. Do you have a job or do you have a business? And generally, if you go for broker versus agent, you tend towards business rather than job, but you can still delegate a lot of stuff and be an individual agent under a brokerage and have a business rather than a job. And so what I have found in my TC world is that my competitors, many of them have good paying jobs. I have a badly paying business, but we're performing the same or pretty close to it. Because when I add the overhead of making it into a whole business, I can take a day off anytime, right? I have achieved that level. My kids have a soccer game or I want to do something, I'm gone because I don't run files and I have a business. But the business model of being a TC, not that profitable. Good paying job, not great paying business. But it is a solid foundation from which I built a title company because I see and touch so many creative deals. I correct title companies. I correct attorneys. We've built a really good brand with 5-star reviews out the wazoo. Well, why not add a lane? It's not a pivot. I'm not changing directions. I'm just adding to what we do. It's a 70% overlap between what our knowledge is here and what the knowledge is in the second lane, which is title. And so starting a title company was the natural next step for me. I spent a year and a half looking to buy one. They wanted a premium on their COVID numbers. And I'm like, that's not the same market as we're entering for the next 3 years. So I'm not paying that. So we started a company and I was blessed to be able to raise $320,000 of capital to get this thing off the ground and now I'm on the key hires phase, which took longer than I thought it would, but I'm used to hiring entry level rather than department head level. So note to self and note to anyone else, if you're hiring at department head level, give yourself 6 months to hire. It takes a while. Don't make the wrong hire.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. No, that's fascinating stuff. How do you feel like your health well-being has shifted going through that hard transition of delegating and not just grinding?
I told you I'd be honest, didn't I?
Yeah.
I haven't had health insurance in, I don't know, I can't even count. I don't even know how many years. Since 2014? No, 2019. I haven't had health insurance since 2019, so 7 years. That's the companies that I've started. I chose a difficult business model. I saw a problem that I wanted to solve, so it's a passion thing, and I enjoy what I do. But dude, I'm equity rich and cash poor. I've got rental properties that are paying down, but other than that, we're just maintaining and we're doing good in the world and maintaining. So I'm not living a hard life, but it's not luxurious either.
Sure.
I'm hoping the title company being more mainstream and more profitable will change that, but it's only 6 months old.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some things that tend to help you feel, I guess I would just say just more calm and relaxed? Like when you are feeling kind of the stress of the business, what do you tend to do?
Take a nap. Straight
Are
up.
you?
So,
Yeah.
I like work, number one. So one of the things I can do to relax is just take a task list and start executing. And it's not closest to the money. It's busy work. I can turn my brain off. It's work that's so simple I can turn my brain off. Other times it's driving to conferences instead of flying. So I've got more time, listen to audiobooks, get away from everyone and everything. I've got an excuse not to respond to stuff. I tend to be an introvert, like I recharge by being alone. So having that time, and I'm an ideator. I think and I have a strong sense of wonder and I like to talk ideas out loud that will never come to fruition, which has been a challenge in my marriage because I'm like, oh, we could do this. And my wife is thinking like I'm making life changes on us. And I'm like,
She doesn't relate to that at all.
no intention of any of that stuff. Well, why'd you talk about it? Not that she has that tone with me, but it's like, that's how she feels for sure. I can tell. I just like to talk through stuff that I'm not even, she likes to talk through stuff too. And it's, I mean, some of the stuff she likes to talk through is stuff that I don't care about, stuff I talk to, stuff she doesn't care about. So, you know, I saw this tip that said, put a percentage on your ideas before you start talking through them. And I'm like, here's a 5% idea. And she knows she can just tune it out because it ain't going to happen.
Oh, interesting.
And she'll listen to it and engage in the conversation, feeling safe because I'm not turning her world upside down with, hey, we could move to Nebraska and do X, Y, and Z and rent out this house. And she's like,
that would be helpful, but I think Matthias might name all of his ideas as like an 85% idea. And then after 2 weeks, he'll be like, just kidding. I think it might be a 5% idea. So we got to give it a length of time. That's usually what I do. Like if he's still talking about it in 3 weeks, then it's likely that we could maybe have a joint conversation about it, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, you can monologue. If you monologue for more than 3 weeks, it turns into a conversation. Like, wait a minute. Sounds like you actually mean this.
Yeah. Because there have been times where he's had an idea, and I'll jump on board too. But they tend to be, like last year we went to see the eclipse, and we went to North New York, and it wasn't going to pan out. It was going to be cloudy, and we both kind of looked at each other and like, you want to drive 6 hours tonight with the kids and go see it in Canada? And we were both like, yeah, let's do it. And we did.
That's
not moving to Nebraska, but
that's tomorrow.
Yeah. We were waiting when to break it to you, Erica. We're going to start a business and everybody's moving to Nebraska. See you there.
My family would be excited. They live in Kansas.
Yeah, not too far from you, I guess.
Yeah.
Caleb, what golden nuggets do you have to share to our listeners today?
Especially for the agents, investigate this. I know you're getting creative offers. You're getting slammed with these things. Here's a principle for you. It's cool to do a deal with $0 out of pocket. It is unethical, however, to do a deal with $0 in your pocket. Evaluate your buyers with that in mind. So plenty of these creative finance investors all want to put a notch in their belt for having done a deal with $0 out of pocket or close to it, which is cool, really cool. But they still need to have enough cash to handle an emergency, especially if I'm taking over your payments. I had better have some cash in the bank for when the water heater breaks or a tenant doesn't pay or something along those lines. So when you get a proof of funds, you need proof of funds not just for the closing costs. You need proof of funds that shows they have savings in the bank as well.
That makes a lot of sense. I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's not quite the same, but if you look at a syndication, the whole purpose of having accredited investors be the ones that can invest in syndications for the most part is so that they are sophisticated. They're not going to lose their whole bag. They're not going to be bankrupt if this deal goes south. And I think that is maybe not to that extent. I don't think you need to be worth $1 million or whatever, earn 300 plus. Jointly a year, but I think it does make sense that you need to be advanced enough and sophisticated enough and able enough to weather the storms if they do come. And especially if you're taking over somebody else's payment, that can really damage somebody else's credit, et cetera. Cool. Caleb, what about favorite book, fundamental book you think everybody should read, or one that you currently just really enjoy?
I know it's overdone. And you already know what it is. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But if anyone has not read or listened to that book yet, you're an idiot. Go listen to it. You've heard people tell you a dozen times or more to go read the book. That is what converted me from a know-nothing to I got to do something, right? That's what lit the fire under me. I was an accidental landlord, couldn't sell the house that I wanted to sell. So I refinanced it to move into the house that I'm in now, which is right next door to family. So like location. And then I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I was like, thank God I didn't sell that house. Now I have an asset. Now I have something that's paying down. I'm building wealth rather than just dollars in the bank. And it is transformative if you haven't been through it. Don't skip it any longer. Go get it now. Go listen to it.
It's amazing. I think that book, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that book was written to sell the board game, what was Escape the Rat Race or something, or Cash Flow Quadrant or something. I forget.
It's Cash Flow.
Yeah. I heard that once, but that book has changed so many people's lives.
I'm not sure that the board game came out before. I don't know for sure, but the book stands alone for me.
Yeah.
I don't care about the other books or anything there. I mean, there's good concepts, but you can pick the concepts up without reading the books. This book was transformative for me and probably millions of other people. I don't know, hundreds of thousands at least.
I think, it's just we're going through the school system, which is all kind of geared towards one way of living and working. And it just really flips that on its head. So I think it's if you don't have anybody in your family that is an entrepreneurial, that does invest in real estate, et cetera, like it just really can change your perspective on the world.
Well, I can say one thing for government school system. There are lots of businesses that need employees who don't think too hard. Produce workers for us,
Yeah.
We homeschool.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole industrial revolution. I mean, I think that's what was a lot of people say the school system is to kind of gear up factory workers.
Sure.
So yeah, it's good to have your kids be exposed to this type of stuff as well as you raise them. Caleb, what's your website? What are places that people could follow you? I don't know if you do social media as well. If they're interested in learning more about your business and just following you along.
I'm pretty excited right now about my newsletter, my Anti-Guru newsletter. It's where I share my real financials on a monthly basis, wins or losses. I've been posting losses lately because we've got a startup title company. And so the combined income between my rental portfolio, which is only 4, right? But also my my 2 businesses, the combined income is negative right now. That's life. That's real life, not just the toxic positivity that a lot of the gurus put out. So calebchristopher.io is where you can find Creative TC, Creative Title Company. I fix due on sale as well for these creative deals. We didn't even talk about that, but that's a pretty big thing. If you're an agent receiving these creative finance offers, you need to know about that and have some sort of comfort level with what happens if this happens. How do we handle it? So calebchristopher.io has the connections to all of those things and that my boardroom newsletter.
Awesome. Well, Caleb, thanks so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate the good questions. It's always fun. And to those who didn't like the show,
He did a friend's gesture. If you're not familiar, and you're not,
I don't mean it though. I think it's more intense than I would ever say out loud, anyways. But it's just.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thanks for listening to the REI Agent.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe to catch new shows every week.
Visit reiagent.com for more content.
Until next time, keep building the life you want.
All content in the show is not investment advice or mental health therapy. It is intended for entertainment purposes only.